The aunt went to the autopsy, came out of the autopsy, and started talking to Yabo and Tonto to go keep their coffin for their own children. When the woman said that, if you notice on the video, I thank God for the internet because you can always go back to it. You know, internet never forgets. Right. Do you remember what the woman said? The woman said, "Talo gun Mohbad lorun." What you gun Mohbad lorun? Remember, she was the only one that witnessed. Other people were there, but she witnessed the autopsy. I, as a student of pharmacy, the final papers that we have to turn in, we have to sit down in a place like a stadium. Sure, you know the stadium setting. Some people will be on the bottom. That's how autopsy places are for the people witnessing the autopsy. So there's a glass. So you are looking at it through the glass. The doctors are opening the person, slicing them up, and you're watching. That's what they did. And that woman said, from that moment,
what does that mean? What does that mean?
That they stabbed him in the neck. That's what the woman saw. The woman saw the fact that, she was talking in Yoruba. So what did Iyabo Ojo do? From her buffoon behaviors, she went and bought a bell and started ringing the bell and talking to the woman like she was a Aladura woman, mocking her. Iyabo thought she was doing a skit. She looked stupid to the core. At that point, when I saw what that woman said, I called Churchill right away. Because Churchill's wife, Rosie Murrah, is a very good friend of mine. I met her way before Churchill. I called Churchill. I said, call Grandma now. I'm very, very familiar with the Oladuni family. They're also the friends of the Oluloyo. I said, call Grandma in London right away. Get Beresigba. Start fasting and praying. Because Mohbad's aunt has laid a curse, okay, for King. Tonto's son is also Churchill's son. Do you remember what that woman said when she was laying the curse? Go and take your coffin. You are the one that is going to bury all your children. You see why how people invite generational curses into their family and they don't know? That woman just cursed Tonto's child and Yabo's child. That go and put your own children in the coffin. So when I showed the video to Churchill, I said, go and call Grandma right away. Churchill's mother and grandmother, his grandmother actually just died. This family were praying for this boy day and night because somebody on the outside had cursed the child out. So at the end of the day, what made that blanket so bloody? Now, what are you supposed to do? Aren't you supposed to go to the hospital? Mm-hmm. They could not go to the hospital. The reason they did not go to the hospital was because of the neck wound. If you look at the autopsy says superficial wound in the hand and tattoos in the neck. That's a distraction. I'm a medical professional. Whoever did that autopsy, that is a distraction. Superficial wound in the hand and tattoos in the neck. Talobi, who asked you? Who asked you about tattoo? They're trying to distract you. That's where that stab wound is. You don't have to have a deep stab wound to your neck. You can have what they call a puncture, and that's what happened. You can take a fork. I can take a fork and poke you in the neck and actually kill you. Did you know that? Because all it needs is that fork go through and the carotid artery, that little balloon thing, right. Boom. Right. Exactly. So they now couldn't go to the hospital. The blanket was bloody, so Mohbad had to go into the bed and they had to call a nurse, and the nurse was not available, and they called another nurse who traveled all the way from Cotonou. I mean, for God's sakes. The woman came all the way to Cotonou, Feisha Ogedengbe. When Feisha Ogedengbe got to the house, they planned again. Yaba was in all this, but you didn't know at that time. They planned again that Feisha will do a video. And she would say, they brought Mohbad in. He had malaria. We were treating him for malaria. He was not responding. Do you remember that video? Mm. You didn't see that video? No. Some of you should see that. Did anybody here see the video? Of a nurse in a white outfit saying they brought Mohbad to our hospital. It looked like they hit him with juju. He was not responding to malaria. That's Feisha Ogedengbe. They were not in a hospital. They were inside Mohbad's house doing hospital. Wow. So they wanted to divert the attention of the people. You see what I'm saying? Remember what Naira Marley said? Who paid Instablock to say it was an ear infection? Where were they going in that car and where were they coming from? Now we know. They were coming from Mohbad's house and they were going to a hospital when Mohbad suffered anaphylaxis. Now, let me tell you about the drugs she used. Feisha Ogedengbe is actually a young lady who went to nursing school to become an auxiliary nurse and has a very good knowledge of pharmacology. As a pharmacist, I assessed everything. She had the knowledge, but her license does not allow her to practice alone. Her license only allows her to practice under supervision of an RN, a registered nurse, or an upper nurse, but not alone. Definitely, they were hiding something. So the way she dosed the drugs, no one in the world could have ever known that Mohbad would react to ceftriaxone. Ceftriaxone is a broad-spectrum antibiotic. It is very powerful. You and I will not know if we're going to react to it. But if there was a doctor in the room, a doctor would have ruled out if he was allergic to cephalosporins. Once it be one now, they would have asked them, has he ever taken Keflex? The doctor would have done all that. However, they were doing doctor and nurse in the house. So they had no idea. So when she dosed the ceftriaxone in the IV to continue treating 2 infections now, the ceftriaxone caused him to have that reaction and he started convulsing into an epileptic seizure. Immediately that starts, they have to give the patient epinephrine. But they were not in a clinical setting. They were inside a house. This is the reason in America why when our children are going to camp in the summer, they have epinephrine pen. And do you have it in London? That pen, in case they are bitten by a bee or an animal. Okay, that you shall know the whole thing. That kind of stuff. When somebody's commenting here, why can't you go to the police station? Are you deaf? Do you not see how I started this?
Dr. Kemi,
the police has my report.
Know them.
You know, look at them, fake accounts. Police has my report. I worked with them 2 weeks. And I finished my own final report November 30th. So at the end of the day, they had no epinephrine. So they were basically stuck. The state where Mohbad was, Wumi claims she was not in the room when he had anaphylaxis, that she was cooking Indomie. She's always cooking Indomie.
Always
the same Indomie. Yeah, the same Indomie she cooks and puts drugs inside so that he can sleep and she can go to transformer.
Conveniently.
Well, let me tell you what happened. Exactly. Let me tell you what now happened. Now, Nigerians are not, they're smart, but not intelligent. I am a Nigerian. I'm very intelligent. And my goal is to make every single Nigerian intelligent because I want to enter London, Leeds, Wales. I want to enter US, Atlanta, and say, I'm a Nigerian. We are intelligent people in our country. I want to be able to say that on behalf of everybody. But Nigerians don't try to attempt to be intelligent. So at the end of the day, critical thinking, listen, because me, I don't use AI or chat GPT. You have to have critical thinking. They're giving homework now in universities and people are going to tell AI, give me this. Even pastors, AI, give me I'm an evangelist now. Gamified Africa, spirituality. AI, give me a sermon on forgiveness. And I will get the sermon, I print it out and I go read it at the church. This is what's going on now. But we still need critical thinking. Okay, I was at a record store yesterday and one kid was telling me he works there. I wanted to buy a Bluetooth for the living room and he was talking to me about CDs. I said, do you know how the CD came? Okay, CD-ROM, read on memory. Somebody put all the data inside the CD. You put it in the computer, you see your files. Then someone said we can put music inside here. Then they started putting in there. Then I asked him, I said, do you know what was around before CD? He didn't know. He didn't know a record player. Can you imagine?
Recorders.
I said it's big vinyl. And I showed him on Google. I said, we play it. How does it play? I said, you put a needle on it. If that needle scratches, your father will beat you like crazy because you want to play. So how do you play the other side? You turn it over.
And then you flip it over.
You gotta teach these kids this. So at the end of the day, like, my son is a hip hop artist, so he knows all that because I taught him. But at the end of the day, what happened was I just said, okay, the critical thinking area, everybody listen carefully and put your hands on your forehead, close your eyes, and let your brain be warmed up. Okay? Now, Because they didn't have epinephrine, which could save Mohbad's life, they had to rush him out of the house after 48 hours of doing doctor and nurse together. If we had epinephrine in the house, Mohbad was actually at 10% on an iPhone. What happens when your iPhone is 10%? Can you take pictures? Not anymore. When your phone is 10%, you cannot take pictures with an iPhone. What happens when you put the charger to that iPhone? In 15 minutes, not 15, 10 minutes, what happens to that 10%? Does it not go to 50? That is how Mohbad's body was. That's why I want you to use critical thinking. That is what would have happened if they put epinephrine injection in Mohbad, if he was inside the hospital and that reaction started. You will hear Mayday, Mayday, code blue, whatever they call it in Nigeria. You will see epinephrine infused in him. Mohbad will go from 10% to 70%. That's what they do in surgery. I've had foot surgery twice in Nigeria. They have to be ready. But these guys were not in a clinical setting. They were in a house because they were hiding something. Okay? Wumi said, we didn't have to go to the hospital because he was scared that the Malians would come and hurt him there. The Malians would come and hurt him there. But did he not have hypertension and he was in the hospital? Did they come and hurt him on that one? There was something they were hiding. And that's what the detectives are supposed to be looking at. I discussed this with Toronto Police Homicide on the phone. And I said, you know, the detective I spoke to said, you know what we do, Kemi? We detect things. And that's what investigative journalists do. When I was there, 13 people, you might see something as the journalist that they don't see. So at the end of the day, they're going to the hospital now, Perez Hospital. There's hold up, and they started videotaping in the car. Did you guys notice that Mohbad moved his neck a little bit? Something moved around his neck, and they stopped the video. They were crying that Mohbad was dead. And then suddenly there was some kind of muscle contraction in his neck. That was the biggest clue. You hear what I say? That was the biggest clue. All right, so what's that muscle contraction in his neck? And they stopped the camera. If you kill a cow and you cut all the beef part and the hide and everything, before you take that cow to go and wash, because every time we have an event in my family, wedding, funeral, I always go and film all these cow killers that come. You know what I mean? The people that come to kill the cow. Today, that kind of stuff now is money when I put it on Facebook. Content monetization. But you know how beef looks when you first kill it? It's still moving. Mm-hmm. The beef is still contracting. Yeah, so that's what I thought was going on initially. Like, oh, he's dead, but there was a muscle contraction. There was a muscle contraction. They stopped the camera because that's where he was poked in the neck. You see what I'm saying? That's where they poked him in the neck. That's where they stabbed him in the neck. I'm not using any more non-affirmative words that we're supposed to use in journalism. No allegedly, no allegations. She killed him. And the way I came up with it, I don't know if you've seen my video. They're all on Facebook. I said, Wumi, go to the police. My final report is on my TikTok. You can all see it. It's pinned because I've started my new brand, but it's pinned up there. Wumi, go to the police and take a lawyer with you and ask for manslaughter. If she asks for manslaughter, they'll give her 4 years. Okay? Because if she doesn't, and eventually she's arrested, she'll get murdered, and they might lock her up for a long time. They'll lock her up for life or anything. It's better to do a plea deal that it was an accident. Truthfully, what is my opinion? I spoke to Baltimore police, I spoke to Toronto police, all the police department, the modern ones that I spoke to, it was second-degree murder, manslaughter. She didn't mean to kill him, but in a fit of rage, that's what happened. So now, when the father came and said, why is this blanket so bloody? It can't be from this hand. That was from the neck. The clues everywhere. The muscle contraction in the neck in the car, the livor mortis liquid in the casket from the neck area that was bent. I mean, it's all there. So one person in that house, 1 to 3, 3 of them in that house told me the very same stories, and I interviewed them on the phone independently, and it's the very same story. She attacked him with a sharp object, and while they were trying to separate them, they too got attacked. You see faces swollen in the car and things. So at the end of the day, the 48-hour cocktail of drugs did not work. So by the time Mohbad was dead and they got to the hospital, Perez put a BID on him. DOA, we call it in America, dead on arrival.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, brought him dead is Nigeria. When they did the brought-in death, they gave a death certificate. Now, you remember death certificates have to have a cause of death. But if you are brought in dead, they don't have a cause of death because they ain't doing an autopsy. They'll just say the person was brought in dead. Wumi was given a birth certificate. A death certificate. A death certificate will allow you to carry a body to the nearest mortuary. Now, if you don't have a death certificate, you have to go to the police to get a police report. I lived in Ajah for 4 years, and the precinct in Ajah, we were the ones running Ajah precinct after they killed a young man and a lawyer. I think you heard about the lawyer, the pregnant lawyer. And the police officer was convicted within a year and everything. Nigerian Bar Association is praising that one. But we got everybody in the police station and moved to another area of Lagos. So the chief brought all new cops. If I know the DPO in Ajah, somebody called the DPO in Ajah not to give Baba Mohbad a police report. Did you hear what I said? Someone called the DPO. This is where journalism gets interesting.
Yeah, because Baba said he already wrote his statement and he was waiting. And then suddenly everything changed.
Right. Someone called. This is where this is where journalism gets interesting. These people are fools. They don't know the experience I'm bringing to them. If you're in a DPO's office or a police chief's office, there's usually 1 or 2 cops there. They're acting as bodyguards or whatnot. Someone in that police officer's office, and I've been into that DPO's office before, but I don't know that new DPO. That person contacted me. Dr. Kemi, please don't mention my name. You know that's how it works in investigative journalism. Please keep me private. It was Mohbad's, I say it was Mohbad, it was Wumi's mom. She influenced the whole process. She's a former police officer, retired or something. She's the one that called in there. And the snitch was in there and he heard the conversation with the DPO. Okay, I just don't have time for whoever that DPO, because if I open that person's yash, it's too late. All these things can bring Mohbad back. So now we have 2 roadblocks. Wumi had the death certificate from Perez, no police report from the police. The man had to rush and bury the child. If you've ever smelt a dead body, have you ever smelt a dead body? People don't know what it is until you actually, let me tell you, when our cleaner died, the cleaner of the building I used to live, when Mary died and they went to bury her, her family did some kind of ceremony in front of a little shack before they carried her in the car. The smell, during the pandemic, I wore two masks because of the smell. It was horrible. The smell of the human body is unique. So what Mohbad's father did was he had no choice but to rush to bury his child. I hear Nigerians asking, why did he rush to bury his child? What was he hiding? Okay, listen up, Nigerians. And I hope you're recording, screen record or whatever. What happened is the man had no choice. So he wanted to go bury Mohbad at this pocket of land. In fact, they say Mohbad owns that piece of land. But it was getting late since morning, afternoon, 4 o'clock, still in traffic. Perez, the man arrived there. They said the chairman of that particular estate said they can't bury him at night. No night burials. Because in some traditions, night burials are evil. So he told them to come in the morning. Honestly, I don't know where they took Mohbad, maybe to his house under the steps, all that. But Mohbad, they arranged a white casket for him, his PA, Darusha, all those people. At the end of the day, in the morning, they now went and buried him. While they were doing the burial, I didn't see anybody from the concert. I didn't see anybody from the industry except comedian Q Sabiola and Kugwagidi, a promoter. I didn't recognize anybody. It's like everybody just forgot about him, especially the people that hosted a concert for him. So it's very sad. So when they now went to bury Mohbad, Mohbad was gone forever. They sealed the thing, everything. When all of a sudden, a week after that burial, Ben Hyundai called me and they said they're going to have a police address today. I said, okay, I'll tune in on YouTube, press conference. Mr. Owonha, chief of police, now did a press conference, a good one, and revealed that Ilerioluwa Oladimeji Aloba Mohbad was being treated in the house by a nurse. The first thing people picked out was a quack nurse. Who called her? In America, the person that called her is going to get charged too. Everybody's going in America. But of course, Nigerians and there, we're not in America. Until you jackpot there, you will know. So at the end of the day, when I saw the list of drugs, I was writing them down and everything. Police Chief Owonha had a picture of Mohbad's hand that was injured. He was the one that narrated all that. I noticed the journalists in the room, Nigerian journalists, I'm sorry, Nigerian trained journalists are the worst of the worst, okay? Although I don't like David Hunday because he's also some idiot, but the way he described them is the same with the worst of the worst. A police chief is holding a picture of a hand wound, and I did not see one journalist take that picture and snap it. You know, I said at the end of this press conference, somebody better snap that picture. Anyway, at the end of the day, what Owonha just detailed to us was all the drugs they gave and everything, and how Ayobami is spending, the DJ, all of them were going to the pharmacy every day, trial and error, and Mohbad was there dying slowly until they now infused another antibiotic, this time ceftriaxone, and he reacted to it, and he was just about dead. He was at 5% of life, like an iPhone at 5%. Can't do anything with 5% iPhone. Because iPhone will jump from 5 to 2 and it will just turn off. I hate that part. I'm somewhere where there's light all the time, so I take it for granted. In Nigeria, power back straight, you know? So anyway, so the logic and the critical thinking I want Nigerians to look at is, remember you were saying that why did they rush to bury him? I answered that one. The book for Mohbad is here. It's big like a Bible where I made my notes. They rushed to bury Mohbad because they were denied the paperwork to get Mohbad in a mortuary.
Yeah.
When Wunmi was not giving this man the death certificate and the mother had called the DPO, allegedly, okay, I don't even want to say allegedly, I have a source in the police department. There was no way they could go to Ikorodu or any mortuary because they didn't have the paperwork. If they had gone to the mortuary, Mohbad would have had a proper autopsy with a freshly dead body. Do you see my point?
Yeah.
So they just wanted to hide the cocktail of drugs they rigged into him. Let me repeat that, Nigerian. Screen record. The reason they rushed to bury, Aloba rushed to bury his son was because the wife and the mother-in-law, they wanted to hide the cocktail of drugs that they rigged into him. Unknown to them, when the police got to the house, the police took all the empty vials with them. They seized everything. And that's how they knew what the drugs were. And a doctor explained everything to the police. They also took his Android, but they did not find his iPhone. They asked if the CC camera was working. They said no. The CC camera was working. The CC camera is backed up to an iCloud server. I hope everybody knows what I'm talking about. Let me say it in 2 languages. Let me use Pidgin. Una, listen to me carefully. I don't speak in Pidgin. I don't like Pidgin, but I did a 1 week of Pidgin. I did Pidgin Day last week. One day I spoke in Pidgin. Nigerians were excited. They wanted me to be speaking it, but it can actually mess up my English. But I learned it in the Port Harcourt prison. But let me say it because the Igbos really loved it. Okay, now listen carefully. You see CC camera. Now what they call closed circuit camera. The camera are far away, but it can zoom close to see what's going on. People, they put CC camera outside their house. They put it for stores everywhere. What happened is, say, when Wunmi and Mohbad, but they distract people, say Mohbad died in the house, then a drug killer, blah, blah, blah. When Wunmi and Mohbad, they fight, when they come from concert, as they fight for room, they come to the step. Darosha was up on that step with them. They were trying to separate them from the fighting. Fight now come carry outside. Front door. Since the camera, they walk, they see them fighting. Everything with the CC camera, they back up for phone. Phone we get memory well. So when in back up for phone, anybody will get iPhone, get cloud server. Now iCloud and they call them. If you take picture for wedding, Me, I go Ambani wedding. Ambani wedding was last week. The London one was this past Saturday, right? They said they had another version in London. So all of them flying to London. Anyway, say Ambani wedding. Okay, I didn't go to prison for defamation. I was charged with defamation. Let me answer this person. I was charged with defamation and I was detained 3 times. I was never tried, nothing.
Kemi, just ignore the distractors. Ignore them.
I know, because they don't have critical thinking.
You don't have explanation for them. They are mad. They are Yaba left customers.
They don't have any critical thinking at all.
They mistakenly open the gates for them.
Yeah. So as we say, una now carry fight go front door. Camera dey roll. As camera dey roll, in dey record everything. Because wetin I say, Nigerian police get the CC camera and the case is solved. I don discuss with Baltimore police and I don discuss with Toronto police, places where I've lived. Get the CC camera and you solve the case. Why they say so? Now so when the fight don't happen, when Wunmi don't poke Mohbad's neck, when they carry Mohbad go upstairs to bed, one of the 15 boys in the house don't turn off that CC camera, don't remove am. Everything that happened don't back up into Mohbad's phone, don't back up into iCloud server. May I explain that part again to you? If I carry my iPhone 12, which I've had for 3 years now, somebody must buy me iPhone 15 Pro Max. So host, hey, look at me. I said somebody must buy me iPhone 15 Pro Max. It's in my list. I wrote a birthday list of what I wanted.
Which is our command. I'm sure someone will.
I mean, yeah, this iPhone 12 was given to me by the fans, on my 57th birthday 3 years ago. It's really good. It's really, really good. But when I look at what's his name's phone now, the guy that Tolani, the guy that takes pictures for Tinubu during the campaign and everything, and I say, Tolani is holding iPhone 11. What am I complaining about? Or any picture you see of Tinubu, all the nice filters. The guy that's doing it is our friend, and it's an iPhone 11. Can you imagine? So anyway, guys, so what's happen is like, if I carry my iPhone 12, say I go Ambani wedding, Ambani invite me, I see Kim Kardashian, snap with Kim, snap with Rima, snap with Justin Bieber. If that phone they steal am, or that phone break or something, and I can't get those pictures out again, it don't go cloud server. Google have cloud server, iPhone, iCloud have server, Microsoft have server. So no matter where that phone is, the thing don't back to the iCloud.
It's not about the physical phone. That's what people don't realize. It's not about the physical handset.
So for everybody that heard me in pidgin English, I hope you understand that part. The cloud server will keep everything you lost. And that has actually happened to me before. Now, that being said, how much terabytes are in there? It's a lot. At least 1 terabyte of space will be in that person's iPhone. My landlord in Aja had the CC camera. He can see everything we're doing outside. He saw me washing clothes outside with the tap. He saw who is entering, who is coming in. But he can't see what we're doing in the apartment, of course. But we can see through our television channel 3. So if anything were to happen to Kingsley and he lost his phone, Apple can give him the stuff. And we had a bike missing. Somebody lost a bike, a $750 bike from America. Somebody that just came from America. The bike was gone and Gateman said he went to buy food. So Wahala now started. Landlord said, I'm going to take it from your salary, blah, 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 blah. So when they looked at the iCloud server, believe it or not, we saw the thief. You know when you go out and say you're going to buy food down the road? You know those Aboki boys that are scavengers. They will go into the, you know them now. They go into the trash outside your building. Yeah. They're looking for anything pangolo and hair. One of them entered our compound and actually left with that bike.
Whoa. And
there was nobody at the gatehouse. So if my landlord can go and get Apple server contents from Apple, what is stopping law enforcement? Now let me tell you how that works. When it comes to a criminal investigation, law enforcement is the only one that has access to Apple legal department, law enforcement, Apple legal department to get that kind of stuff, especially when it involves a murder. Now, Meta, I'm used to Meta. I've done Meta many times. When I was volunteering for Toronto Police, there were people on social media were trying to catch. But I personally did one with Meta. Meta will release WhatsApp and be sitting down there, be saying everything is encrypted. Encrypted my foot. When computers shut out 2 days ago and everybody got the blue Microsoft screen, hey, computer. As much as WhatsApp is encrypted, anything you're doing in this world, somebody has a copy of it.
Absolutely.
So when I wrote them, Instagram and WhatsApp are owned by Facebook, and it used to be called Facebook Legal Department. It's now called Meta Legal Department. Anything you want to require. So when Bamishe was abducted by the bus driver, raped and killed, the last messages she said, I don't like the way this bus driver is looking at me. I'm scared, da, da, da. All in Yoruba, she was speaking. I'm the one that got that, and I posted it online for everybody to hear. It's very easy to get if you're an investigative journalist. You have to write a letter. You have to show them your work. I mean, Instagram, verified account, verified Twitter, verified Facebook. Journalist, she's a journalist. They Google you, and they'll give you the information. Okay, but when it comes to GPS, okay, that's what the FBI used for Hush Puppy. Apple GPS is the way they caught Hush Puppy. You need police or FBI-like people. Do you know what I mean? Mm-hmm. So I have called out Nigerian police many times, and I did it this morning too. Please, I'm appealing to you. They don't want to solve it because Wunmi is under protection. 2 kings, 1 politician, and Lagos state government. 2 kings, 1 politician, and Lagos state government. They're protecting her. They told me, the police said we have interrogated her 3 hot times. I told the officer, what do you mean 3 hot times? HOT. I mean, hot questions. And you have not thought about detaining her, right? You didn't see a stab wound, Abi. Let's talk about the autopsy. The autopsy was ready on the 26th of September. It came out when the toxicology arrived from America. Nothing went to America. I don't care what you say. If you have a toxicology test, the most unprofessional toxicology test, NMS lab, what is that? NMS lab is in Pennsylvania. Look at the letterhead. I'm sorry. Host, what's your name, host?
Everyone's auntie.
And just call you auntie.
Oh, Queen Bee.
Queen Bee.
Queen Bee.
Okay. Queen Bee.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Let me tell you something about that autopsy. Did you see that toxicology test? Did you see it? Okay. Let me tell you about that toxicology test. Okay. No, let me tell you about the autopsy first. The Lagos State autopsy. There was conflicting information in that autopsy. Darosha said he embalmed Mohbad under the steps. He posted it on his Instagram in September. Mm-hmm. I embalmed Mohbad, and then we went to bury him. 8 months later, listen up, in December, the police stopped talking to Iyabo Ojo. They told her the case has left our office. It's at the DPP. Director of Public Prosecutions. Iyabo didn't want to go to the DPP because she knows that they don't like her there. So she stopped at that point. DPP means police has finished investigating and we're not going to pick who we're going to prosecute. They were still holding Prime Boy and the nurse. Everybody has been released now. However, 8 months after the case goes to the DPP, in May of 2024, the police goes out to arrest Darosha. They want to arrest him, but they did an invitation and all that. He called his lawyer. His lawyer is a woman. Her name is Odumosu. No relation to that police chief in the Oromani case, but Odumosu is the name of the female lawyer. So they now went in for the invitation, and they were asking Darosha questions. They were asking Darosha questions. Huh?
Odumosu is Darosha's lawyer?
Yeah, a female Odumosu. I don't know if there's any relation to that police chief, but Darosha, 8 months after the police had given the case to the DPP, Omoyele Showere's group, Revolution Now, had a news conference in Lagos.
Okay, Dr. Ken, I think you might need to verify that because Odumosu is one of the lawyers representing Baba. So unless there's another one called Odumosu.
It might be the same one. It's a female.
Yeah, that's the same. That's the daughter of.
Yeah, but listen to what happened. What happened was that when the case went to the DPP, it just sat there. Prime Boy was let go. Then they raided his house again and arrested him second time. And then he threatened Wunmi that I'm going to expose you on the death of your boyfriend. He used the quote boyfriend. I'm going to expose you because he was raided and arrested again. Now, Omoyele Showere's group Revolution Now had a news conference in Lagos right around that time, November, December. It was well attended by media, but all they said was the police has ruined and botched the case, and they put that on ground. All right. So you did a case for like 2 months and you sent it to the DPP. 8 months later, May of 2024, you go out inviting Darusha. We like to interview the illegal mortician. When they got there, Darusha said, I did not embalm Mohbad. He denied it. He said somebody hacked his page. You see one thing about social media.
And it took him that long to say that.
Exactly. One thing about people is somebody hacked my Facebook page this week. My big Facebook page, 600 and something thousand. But before they could get into it, Facebook stopped them. Facebook stopped them and they stopped me from seeing the page and I had to verify my identity. Do you understand what I'm saying? It's like somebody signed in from somewhere. Okay, I have two admins in Ghana, myself, one of my sons in Baltimore, and that's it, pretty much. But somebody logged in from somewhere, and it was none of my admins. So they said they think it might be hacked, so they did the ID thing. Anyway, people don't understand that if you have two-factor authentication, it's very hard to hack. But if somebody signed in, they will make sure they want to know if, you know that thing that comes at notification, was it you? Mm-hmm. Somebody signed in from Accra or somebody signed in from Morocco, exactly. So Darusha said in the invitation in May that he did not embalm Mohbad and that his page was hacked. Okay, stop right there. So you didn't embalm Mohbad. So are we saying Mohbad was not embalmed before he was buried? We have questions about that.
In the traditional way.
What's traditional?
Where salt was placed on his chest?
That's what the father said on my interview. They didn't use formalin, embalming fluid. Now, speaking about formalin now, we're going to switch over to the hearing. The Odumosu / Darusha thing. Now, the police now use the word illegal mortician, so they let him go, blah, blah, blah. But what did Mohbad's father, what did he see? Like you said, he did tell me about the salt on the chest thing. If you look on the autopsy, have you noticed what the autopsy says? Body brought in, superficial wound, tattoos everywhere, stressing that tattoos on the neck, and that whole stressing on tattoos on the neck to me is like, this is why we need a second autopsy. Or could that doctor have mistaken a stab wound for a tattoo? Do you see my point? So the autopsy said partially embalmed body came in. Now let's go to the toxicology test. You know, I hate these kind of cases because whenever somebody dies of a drug overdose, I'm a drug abuse expert. In America and Canada, they would tell you the person died of an overdose, but we're waiting for toxicology test, which takes 6 weeks. Mohbad's toxicology test took 8 months. They don't take toxicology tests abroad. The biggest toxicology test I was waiting for was Amy Winehouse and Whitney Houston. And Whitney was my friend. I was her blogger on the set of Being Bobby Brown. So she was very close to me. I worked so hard with Whitney to get her off crack. And we got her clean. And she did a brand new album. But on the day of the Grammy announcement, she did not get a nomination. That's what sunk her. And she just went right back. She was so sad. And on the morning of the Clive Davis party, Whitney was seen by the pool with a man. And that was it, the crack dealer. And that's how it all started. And she died of what they call heart scarring, scars inside her heart wall. That's her cause of death. A lot of damage to her heart. So it wasn't technically an overdose. It's a causation death.
Kemi,
It's a causation death. Yeah?
yeah, I'm sorry to cut you off. I just want to ask you a question, right?
Go ahead.
And I just want you to let us in what Baba at this point of time in seeking
Remember, I
for.
have a train of thought to ask that question.
Yes, at this point of time, I want you to please, advise. What do you think is the way forward for Baba Mohbad? The steps
He's
that
already doing it. Somebody's paying for an autopsy. Let them have a second autopsy. Let them examine every corner of his neck. Let them open his body. I don't believe in the autopsy Lagos State did. And listen to this part of your question.
Yeah.
There is something in the toxicology. We wait 6 weeks for toxicology tests to see if some kind of drugs were in the system. Mohbad was a drug user. And this is where pharmacy comes in, and pharmacology, pharmaceutics, pharmacotherapeutics. You see what I mentioned though? Pharmacology, pharmaceutics, pharmacotherapeutics, pharmacokinetics. I mean, pharmacy school is not easy. And all these things have meanings. What drug entered Mohbad's body and how long did it take in the body, and is it out of the body? This is the very important toxicology.
Please, what do you think about international investigator?
Let's wait for that. Let me finish what I want to say. Just
Okay.
wait. There's no international nothing. We do everything in Nigeria. Just let me wait on that. The toxicology test is very important because this is where me and Daddy Freeze got into a fight. Did you get to see the Daddy Freeze show?
I watched it. I watched it. You even cried.
I got really angry, and Daddy Freeze came to me and begged me to come back on the show. I said, I'm not coming back. Don't worry about it. I'm not even coming back because the person I argued with was an auxiliary nurse. Okay, I have a clinic. I'm not just a pharmacist, but I'm also a clinical pharmacist. There's 7 parameters of pharmacy that you need to look at. And because the public is not conversant with these things, they will use it to blind you. So every single drug you take, let's use the easiest drug, paracetamol, acetaminophen in America. If you take 500 milligrams of paracetamol, it has something called a half-life, okay? Half the time for that drug to remove out of your system. From taking it in your mouth to peeing in the bathroom, okay? There are 2 things that excrete drugs and processes them, the liver. So every drug has a half-life. If a drug, okay, if